wanting to go to college. Here are the results of this rioting. By the time the dust cleared, this rioting was over. Here were some results of that rioting. Believe it or not. 2 people were killed. 2 people were killed in these riots. 2 people were actually killed. 48 National Guard soldiers were injured. 48 National Guard soldiers were injured. And who else do you think they sent in besides the National Guard? They sent in U.S. Marshals, and 30 of those suffered gunshot wounds. So in this riot over a black Air Force veteran getting to go to college at the University of Mississippi, the riots resulted in the death of 2 people, 48 National Guardsmen injured, and 30 U.S. Marshals suffered gunshot wounds. It's just incredible. But James Meredith remained at the college and was protected by federal troops who escorted him to class every day. He was escorted to his classes by federal troops. Now here's a picture of James Meredith right here, holding a newspaper that says, "Meredith off to enroll, Barnett action blocked." So it was the paper that came out after President Kennedy called and said, "You will enroll him." So that was event number 2 that gave the United States a black eye in civil rights during the Kennedy administration. Okay, the third one happened in 1963. And it was the SCLC versus Birmingham Police. SCLC, Southern Christian Leadership Conference, SCLC, versus Birmingham Police. Now this one involved Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. himself and the SCLC, okay? And what Dr. King had planned was a peaceful demonstration to try and end segregation in the city of Birmingham, Alabama. That was his goal. So Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and the SCLC had planned a peaceful demonstration in Birmingham, Alabama to try to end segregation in that city. The problem was what? What was the problem with segregation in Birmingham? Say it. Come on. It was what? Legal. It was legal. And so he's going in there and trying to peacefully protest an event that's actually legal. Because at this time in history, segregation was legal in Birmingham. And it was enforced by local authorities, just like if you were speeding down the street too fast or you robbed a store. Segregation was legal in Birmingham at the time. Now, this is what really hit Dr. King. Since they would be protesting a legal act, they would be looking for change. So they had to be what in their protest? Non-violent. Okay, couldn't be violent. So because they would be protesting a legal act and looking for change, Dr. King insisted to members of the SCLC that this desegregation drive be peaceful without any violence. We can't give them any ammunition because we're actually asking them to change what is a law. So on May 3rd, 1963, the SCLC marched on Birmingham. On May 3rd, 1963, the SCLC marched on Birmingham. And they were joined by over 1,000 black children who left school to join in what they considered a celebration, but the demonstrations. Okay? So they were joined by approximately 1,000 black school children that left school to join in the demonstrations to try to celebrate desegregation in Birmingham. You think they knew what they were getting themselves into? Now, they weren't the only ones. Another 2,500 people showed up in Birmingham to join the SCLC in this peaceful demonstration to try to end segregation in Birmingham. So he had quite a following. He had the members of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. He also had 1,000 black children who left school that day to join, and about 2,500 other people, black and white, who came to Birmingham to support Martin Luther King and his peaceful demonstration. Well, as soon as these people got into Birmingham, they were met by Police Chief Eugene Bull Connor and a force of police officers. So as soon as this group of peaceful demonstrators arrived in Birmingham, they were met personally by Police Chief Eugene Bull Connor and a force of police officers. And these police officers were all equipped with some what you might consider unconventional weapons. Not the norm. They were all carrying what you might consider unconventional weapons. Some examples. Anybody want to guess what these unconventional weapons might have been? What? No. Fire hoses. Very good. Fire hoses. How about another one? Snarling dogs. Very good, Levi. Snarling dogs. And the third one was really kind of unique, and maybe some of you ranchers that understand this weapon. Electric cattle prods. Yep. So these police officers were equipped with fire hoses, snarling dogs, and electric cattle prods. All of these unusual weapons were used on the civil rights volunteers in Birmingham. All of them were used on them. Now, what was the difference between this event and the events before? Guess who was there to cover this one? Television. So that evening on the news, television programs all across the nation showed scenes of the fire hoses knocking down school children, dogs attacking individual demonstrators, cattle prods, electric cattle prods being used on these people from ages probably 10 to 70. And guess who got arrested in this deal? All of the volunteers, because after all, what was segregation? Legal in Birmingham. So not all, but many of the civil rights volunteers were arrested and jailed for violating the local segregation laws. So what did the Kennedy administration have to do? Send in more National Guardsmen, 3,000. And they had to restore order in the city once again. So that is the third event that happened, and we'll cover 4, 5, 6, and 7 tomorrow. But I want to show you a couple of videos here first.